Indian exports of both passenger vehicles and the motorcycles, two-wheelers have been growing quite reasonably strong, especially the passenger vehicle demand. We have seen quite strong export demand in the recent years. And these, some of the key markets where India exports to are the African markets, Latin American markets, Middle East, some of the Southeast Asian markets as well. And if you look at the cost of production in India is actually among the lowest globally. And add to that the profitability that generates and the infrastructure spending which is needed to set up a new plant. So all in put together, the capital spending to set up a new plant and the operating cost in India is quite lucrative. And we have seen a lot of automotive companies starting to look at India more from the export angle, not just the domestic demand angle. And that is something which has been picking up pace. And the electrification just accelerates that trend because to some extent it resets the base because historically there is already a large plant for some of the automotive companies that large scale helps them to continue the manufacturing in those locations. But electrification needs completely new setup, new ecosystem, and that is where some of the Indian companies, and more importantly, the government also is looking to localize as many components of electric value chain in India so that India starts accelerating on that journey and hence becomes an export hub as well for the automotive industry. So we definitely are seeing a lot of potential for India for the export. And if you look at from the incremental production or incremental volume coming from India, currently India's market share, India's share of global automotive would be close to about 4%. But the incremental volume share over this decade is going to increase close to 25%. So it is going to become a quite sizable market in terms of what it is incrementally contributing to the global automotive industry.
Got it. What do you expect from the upcoming budget for the auto sector and for the IT sector, if at all?
So for auto sector, a large part of the demand has been around the GST rate. That doesn't now get captured in the budget, but that is one thing which has been consistently being the demand that some of the segments of the automotive industry possibly should be relooked at from the taxation perspective. The lowest base tax which the automotive customers have to pay is about 28%, and there is a demand that some of the customers are not so well off, and hence they should be considered for a lower tax bracket in the GST slab. The second expectation would be around the government's intent towards electrification, and they have already come out with the new EV policy last year. Progress on that, budget allocation on that, and some of the more focus on further localization of some of the EV value chain is something which we would be looking more closely. From IT perspective, there's limited that the budget contributes. Reskilling is one of the focus area of the government, and that definitely helps in generating the resources for the industry. But more importantly, we would be looking at the implication on the currency of the budget, and which is where the IT industries, if anything, the direct implication from the budget would be.